Good morning. Welcome to OptionsTender. It is Friday. Congratulations, everybody. Happy Friday. December 27, 2024. We have a lot of good information to go through. We're at a critical point right now as we speak, and I want to get to that on the daily time frame. But first, we're going to review the big picture. We have so many new followers. I can't appreciate enough all the support. So thank you so much, and for all the likes and subscriptions and things like that. So we're doing this intraday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to get these intraday, consider becoming a 99-cent supporter. All right, let's jump into it. We have SPX, and we keep showing this because of the data that goes all the way back to 1929, crash 2000, crash 2024, soon to be crash. Okay, and that's in confluence with the developing channel here. I do think we'll test the bottom of that channel along with the 200 moving average. You have the 2008 top, 2021 top in confluence right here, right now with our 2024 top. Okay, let's move down to the weekly. Let's go over to, actually jump back, SPY, and consider playing this at 1.25 speed or 1.5 speed. We have the 2008 top. This shows a better picture on SPY. We have all the data here that we need. A bearish rising wedge, and we're at the top of that wedge now, perhaps forming a candle pattern or reversal candle here on the monthly time frame. We'll see. We're getting to the end of the month, so that's why it's important to take a look at this. You can consider this a some sort of hangman at this point. It's just some sort of doji spinning top, I believe is what most people call it. And we have negative divergence going here, and then boom, boom. Maybe if I pull out a little bit here, 3 peaks right there. All right, so that's got to play out, and that's all I'm going to do on the higher time frames. Let's just go to the daily. Well, I guess let's look at the weekly candle because it's Friday. I don't plan these out beforehand. If you noticed, you guys, I like to look at things and observe with you. So we had our reversal on the weekly time frame. We rejected off of this 2008 to 21 top here, a slight overthrow, and we're rejecting off of it. We're actually holding underneath the 8 EMA. Price is going to have to get above the 8 EMA and continue to push on top of this trend line to be bullish at all. And an important indicator is the trending 20 moving average here on the weekly time frame. You'll see that a lot of traders pointed out if we lose this 20, a lot of traders will point out that we may have the kiss of death coming, where we break underneath it and test back to the 20, and that would be the kiss of death and heading lower from there. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that in the larger time frame. Let's move down to the daily. Let's go ahead and move down to the daily. Okay, so the first thing on the traditional look of technical analysis, we have a bearish rising wedge. We broke down from it, and we're rejecting back off the back test, which is coinciding with the 20 moving average. Okay, and what's really important today is that we're getting a little reaction off of the 50-day moving average. I think that's going to break, but I do think that it's Friday. It's not going to happen today. They're going to leave us hanging right here on it. So I think that would be typical. If price does want to backtest a little bit higher going into next week because of the trading week, so be it. I think most things are accomplished. We'll just be ready for it, but I really don't think that's happening. We have a little bit of a hedge on, and I'll show you on IWM why, and we'll go from there. So traditional look, we're forming possible head and shoulder here. Okay. So we come back down here, we break down. Just now looking at this, I wasn't talking about a head and shoulder at any point yet. So what will we do? You take the neckline. If you want to do the traditional measured move, you take a line from the neckline to the top of the point of the head, and that's about a 4% move. And then you can take it from the breakdown point, which would be that neckline, and that brings us right into our zone that we're talking about, being the 565 and all the way down to technically 555, which would be the 200 moving average. So we have to give some room. And the main reason why it's this is not only because the 200, it matches with that, but this is a good consolidation area from top to bottom. So a lot of times when you get into the consolidation area, you make it all the way to the other end. So we'll be looking at this zone from 555 to 565. Very important. That will be the head and shoulders play. And that sort of goes exactly with, that goes exactly with what our game plan is as well. So we talked about our game plan yesterday, where this is a 1, 2. We get into the wave 3, a little bit longer than wave 1. Gets us into this area. We have another bounce. You notice this trend line, not a very powerful one. We only have 2 points from the bottom to here. Breakdown. Bring us back to that trend line. And then an acceleration, if we break this area, an acceleration down to the final point, and that would be this consolidation zone. So again, another zone there, but not a whole lot of trade in between. And it's possible that this one, gives us some trouble here. They're made up of 3 waves. All right, I'm looking for a leading diagonal. So we should probably be forming some sort of expanding or some sort of wedge, some sort of pattern into this move, but it should be a 5-wave move, okay? And if it accelerates on that last one, we should look for a nice large rebound before consolidating for a little bit into the wave 2 move. All right, so 1, 2 is in. We're looking for wave 3 to continue into next week. And then a 4 bounce and 5. Moving to the, let's stay on the daily so we can see. Same with the Qs. The Qs are a little bit more straightforward, but today, the reason why today is so important is because we're holding this trend line. All right, we gapped down underneath it and regained it last time. And now you see how important this line is. You have a few touches here, all the way up. And we're getting a push off of it right now. So, technically you're in a position to go higher. Again, I'm just, the probability is that this is going lower. The setup is there where we have a nice impulse wave 1, 2, and then on the lower time frame, you'll see that we might be just setting up a lower 1, 2 and lower. So we're underneath the 20 and the 8 EMA. We have to get price over that to be anything bullish at all. Okay. So let's go to the lower time frames, and then we'll just go around the horn here. Time and price, we know that came in already. So here's another look at the traditional sense. We're back testing the bearish rising wedge. We got a nice impulse here. Beautiful look. So I think this is just the start of a bigger move to the downside, where this is going to be a lesser degree 1, 2. Probably won't be as deep, but we do have up to the 200 moving average here as well. Not sure that that's going to be, maybe we test the gap, but this, could be a more shallow 1, 2, and then we get a larger 3 down, 4, 5, and such. And this will probably be a zigzag. So somebody asked me, where into turnaround Tuesday should we see some sort of, I guess, relief. We shouldn't see a whole lot of relief in this move, but we should see a 5-wave move down, an impulsive move, and then probably some sort of consolidation. Maybe it's off the trend line here. And then, not a deep, but a B wave, some sort of zigzag. And maybe that's off of the gap in the trend line here that we're talking about not being very strong. And then after that breaks, maybe a triangle or so. After that breaks and we continue to our next destination, that would be our 3-wave move into the 560 area. Okay, so probably A, B, C, and it's going to look a little bit more, a lot more impulsive on the Qs because it's a straightforward move. If this is, I know it's a 3-wave move, so that could be corrective and we go higher. That's what the bulls are looking for. That looks corrective, we go higher. But I think they're trying to get you, and it's a leading diagonal. It's where 3-wave, 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 and then boom, because everybody gives up. And we break this huge breakout zone. And so I think at that point, get a shallow bounce and break down from there. I think price accelerates at that point. It doesn't have to, but that's what we'll be looking out for. And at least in our Discord. Is there anything to show on here? I was looking for a higher low possible at any point, because technically on the upside you can, if you're bearish or if you're bullish, you can get a setup here at the 50-60% somewhere in here, because this is a 3-wave move. You could be looking for an ending diagonal to the upside. So I guess into the end of the day, if we get down to the 50%, it doesn't hurt to hedge over the weekend, hedge those swings, then you can sleep soundly. No big deal. I don't always wake up at 9:30 myself. I jump into the room. Those guys will tell you sometimes 10:30, because I sleep in. I usually have some sort of hedge on, and I don't need to stare at the screen as soon as I wake up necessarily, because my moves are protected. So. And I usually have an automatic sell on a lot of things. Anyway, not a whole lot to look at from this point of view. Same thing on the Qs. Just watching that trend line. Trend line is important. We break down from it, and you're probably likely to see just that continuation. But it might hold on to it today, because you have your 5-wave impulse move here. You have our wave 2 pullback. And now we don't really have any structure on this one. It's just now developing. So we should see our 1, 2. And this one should be more impulsive. So you should see a nice wave 3. And if we get a pullback here, we can measure that out. Okay. So I can't do it right now because we don't have anything to measure off of it. We do, in fact, have that gap closed. In fact, have a measured move to the downside for the wave 1, 2. Let me clear some of that up. So this 1, 2 we do have. All right, we had our breakdown. So we didn't quite get up to that 786. So right there. Okay, if that's our top there, we're looking at a wave 3 coming all the way down to the 162% retracement. Sorry, I got all those lined up there, but this should be our wave 3 down here to the 483 zone. And you can see where there's some trading there, consolidation. So it makes sense. There's some support here. After that, you should get a bounce for wave 4, shallow, 38% bounce. That's a nice deep bounce here. You see, we have I think it might be a zigzag. Looks more like a flat pattern, but either way, you have your 3-wave move here. Should have more of a sideways, flat, or triangle on the wave 4. But if this isn't a true zigzag, then you can see a nice sharp zigzag here too. So that's where it gets tricky. And then the wave 5 should be pretty relentless, and we'll see that reflect on SPY as well. So, ultimately, good lows here would probably be the thinking about the 450 would be a good zone. 450 would be a good area to look for this move to complete. Let's see if that coincides with anything in the daily. So if we do get our wave 3, we were talking about, let me look up here, 483. So that 483, depending on how much time it takes, is coinciding exactly. It makes so much sense. It's perfect. That's why we look at different time frames. It would come up to our trend line and also our 200-day moving average. So after that move, it will appear to be a 3-wave move. Maybe it does get all 5 in there. We'll probably be very cautious. We'll also take off a lot of our trades. Nobody wants to really trade into a wave 4. But if price starts to accelerate, that like we're talking about on SPY, after this wave 4, we'll see this trend line break, and that's a big trend line. That's a very major trend line here, okay? So after that, then price can accelerate, and then we'll look into probably a really good spot would be this 450 area, and I think that's exactly where we're looking at on the last screen. So we'll keep this in mind here. Make this a little bit bigger. Probably be a zone, but if you break this trend line, acceleration, we'll probably see that zone here around 450, 445. Okay, so we can just talk about IWM, go through some of these here. So we're looking for this to get a little bit of strength here. And with IWM, I think we could backtest this trend line up here. We have an ABC already. And so this could be a little bit more complex ABC. So this ABC can be the larger degree A. We get a pullback for a B, and that's where we're looking into some of the retracements. I know, this is busy. Don't mind me. From top to bottom, you have a larger retracement, and we didn't even make it to the 382. So I think it's possible that we retrace higher to the 382 at minimum. Get some of these out of here, clean this up. There's the 382 at about 227. You notice we took, if you're in the Discord, we took a 227. I said this is 228. I took a 227 call into next week. And that's because we're from the bottom of this A wave, supposedly, I'm assuming this is A wave, into the 50-60% here. Clean it up. We're getting that pullback. That's a 1-2 setup, even though we're looking at AB. And then next week, if we find any strength in IWM, we should see a 5-wave impulse move to end a wave C into the 382, and that will allow the market to set up for a lot lower prices. Now, the Qs, again, I think they'll be weak, but this might just give us a pause, okay? The market does not need IWM if all of the tech stocks are pushing down, but it certainly can't go too far without it. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the setup, a pairs trade to the upside, but we're continuing our push to the downside. SMH, this thing really is just looking to explode in either direction. So, of course, we're looking to the downside. Again, we're going to look at this on the daily because we compared this. I said in a video, this is going to happen. And what I meant by that was in 2018, we had something very similar to this. happen, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but we're holding on to the 200 until we didn't. And so that zone, we're getting into this equilibrium. I don't think this is an actual triangle where you're going A, B, C, D, E. We're just in an equilibrium, and we're really tightening up like a spring. So when this lets go, this is going to move. It's going to move quick. And so that would move into our favor if this breaks down to the downside and breaks this huge 240 zone. I think that will really start to accelerate that next move to the downside that we're looking at in the Qs and in SPY, and then we'll see how this plays out and how we can count this. And it's very difficult to see what's going on. Is it 1 2 1 2 1 2, or is it something else? So we'll figure it out together. But in the meantime, it's just really tightening up. We're getting to the apex next week. I think or the week after at the latest should kind of it should break one to the upside or downside at this point. But in the big picture, we see a bear flag. It broke down. The market's just not allowing it to break yet. VIX. On the VIX, we're starting to get our move here. Had our bullish falling wedge, broke out of it, back tested the wedge, and now we're having our move. We're up over the 200, over the 50 at this point, and we should see some sort of move continue on here. Higher than this move, I think we'll get quite a few spikes back and forth to resolve what's going on here. So if we're getting 3-wave, like a 5-wave move, if we're looking for that in SPY, I think this is a good 1, 2, 3. We'll probably get. Oh, hold on. Okay, sorry about that. I had to get everything running back up. We lost our connection, but what we're basically looking at on the VIX is probably making new highs. Maybe a 3 peak here. Not making new highs yet, because this we're going to look at this being all series of wave 1, kind of spike, getting shallower each spike. This is a wave 1, 2 kind of mimic here. Should get a wave 3, maybe a shallower 4, 5, however high it goes, and looking for this. And then after that resolves, should get a nice decent pullback, and that we should start this uptrend. All right, and price as we really start to descend in this recession and bear market at this point. So the VIX has given us a 20% move here today. That could signal that there should be a bounce in the market eventually. So in the next 1 or 2 days. So I suppose, going into Monday and or Tuesday, it could be turnaround Tuesday. We should resolve some sort of move and look for at least a minimal bounce before heading lower. All right, so that's what that signals. We don't talk about that very much, but we'll see. Let's see where we end today. If we lose to 50 tomorrow and we're looking for a bounce in the next 2 days, then that means that the scenario that we were just talking about should play out to where we get this wave 3. Perhaps on the Monday, we get that B wave bounce, turn around Tuesday, and then we resolve the wave 3. That it doesn't have to play out that way. Maybe we get this entire move into Tuesday. Then we look for the turnaround Tuesday bounce. And then we resolve this next move down here. So we're breaking the 50 as we speak here. I don't know if that's going to be a thing, but I'm certainly not buying this this dip. We're looking for this to resolve to the downside. Again, head and shoulders, measured move right to our zone, bounce lower. And I think it'll accelerate, very similar to how this did. You got your little move here, bounce, and acceleration at that point. That's what I got for you. Thanks for joining us here at OptionsTender. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you tomorrow.